I'm Peter.
And I'm Paul.
Welcome to the Twin Perspective.
Peter, we're back here again, and this time we've had, the last episode we did on breast cancer, people came in and asked different questions and, said, okay, we get the breast cancer you've done, and they really loved it. But they spoke about high blood pressure, hypertension, also known as a silent killer, and said this is something they feel we should discuss about. And I totally agree with this. What do you think about that?
It's so funny because about 1.28 billion people globally actually are suffering from high blood pressure.
Wow.
And it's ranges between the age of 30 to 70.
Wow.
So gone were the days when if you're 30, you do not have high blood pressure. But now it's showing that even the younger ones now are having high blood pressure.
Wow, that's strange. I'm saying it's strange, but it's actually not strange because I have actually had people around me with high blood pressure. But what I meant is why that sudden decline in age, reaching that bracket of age?
That's a good question. I feel like there's so many factors that could cause high blood pressure.
Okay.
In terms of modifiable factors, in terms of like your lifestyle, and I think that's where it starts from. However, we do know that hereditary genes could also be like a cause in a way.
I was going to say this just jokingly, but it's actually true because I remember as kids in those days, we had no phones. Few people had computer games in their house. So the only way we know how to play is to go outside and to move. Do you think that lifestyle of then and the lifestyle of now is part of what is contributing to this?
Well, so if you want to put it that way, I'll say that in terms of mobility, because exercise is a very good factor that could help lower your blood pressure. And it's just people understanding what even blood pressure is. I feel like when the contractility of the heart is like really high and it's pumping so much, so there's so much volume of the blood.
Yeah.
My point is blood pressure could just silently affect people. And that's why, like you mentioned earlier, it's called the silent killer because it doesn't really show when it starts creeping on you, like in terms of just regular fatigue or anything like that. You still feel like you're okay till some of your organs start shutting down. And that's when some people realize that they have blood pressure.
I know people like wondering, we're not talking about disease conditions and things, but what we're doing now is not just about disease condition because like I said, Paul is more on the tech side, Peter is more on the clinician side. So we're trying to look at, with high blood pressure, for example, what are the innovations that has come up that can help people to monitor this better? So this is the idea of what we're trying to look at because we've realized that technology has evolved in a way that lots of people don't have to go to a pharmacy. I remember growing up, my dad would say, let's go to a pharmacy to check my blood pressure, which is ideal, but even the pharmacy that was close to us was quite a distance to get to. So how often do we need to check our blood pressure as someone who has hypertension?
I'll say that once you realize that you have the tendency of having high blood pressure or even pre-diagnosed of having blood pressure, you could also merge the tech side by getting the automatic blood pressure cuff machine. I think it's just as easy as just putting the cuff around you and pressing the button and you get your blood pressure. And I'd also say this, that with the tech part of it, it's that maintenance of the tech. Because I know people come to the ER saying, I checked my blood pressure at home. It was 190 over this. Maybe the battery of the blood pressure machine wasn't working good. Then you think that's the real factor and you're panicking. So that's why for me, I don't really depend solely on the machines.
Well, one thing I would like to also let people know with the tech side of it is when you get your blood pressure cuff from the pharmacy or wherever you buy it from, ensure it's been calibrated with that of the hospital. If not, you can get false readings. So you can actually know the difference. So I used to have a blood pressure machine and I realized that it goes higher, 5 millimeter per mercury, more than what it should go.
Okay.
So it's like looking at your regular clock. Your watch is 5 minutes fast, okay? And I know it's 1 p.m. You should look at it like, oh, it's 1:05 p.m.
Gotcha.
Okay. So you should calibrate your blood pressure machine to know what your actual reading is so it doesn't give you false reading. So this can actually sometimes be done.
Yeah, and I feel like lifestyle, like, your sodium intake, daily exercise. I'm not telling anyone to go do the exercise, stay in the gym for 5-10 hours, but even it's like a daily stroll of like 30 minutes, just that walking, make the heart heart work a little bit for a bit of time. That really helps. Burn those calories, burn the fat. That helps.
The simple tech I would tell people to have is just having a smartwatch. Now, when I say smartwatch, it doesn't have to be Apple or a Samsung smartwatch. There's so many smartwatches now that you have that could even count basic steps for you, check your basic respiration. Now, the lifestyle changes you need to have now can actually be monitored with that. Even the applications or apps you have now that can even help you with your dietary intake. What kind of food are you eating? Is this high in sodium? And that helps you to monitor your blood pressure. So my mom, man, I've been referencing my mom too much on the podcast. So my mom likes to write her blood pressure readings. So in the morning she takes it, in the evening she takes it and she writes it down. But technology has even brought the new blood pressure cuff that once you take it, it has a memory on the blood pressure machine, or it takes it directly through Bluetooth to your phone, which is interesting. Do you think that would help with helping people in maintaining or monitoring the blood pressure?
Yes, it will, because if you already know like what your baseline is for your blood pressure, and when I say baseline, because I know like some people literally have like low blood pressure.
True.
And when they go check their pressure somewhere and it's like 95/87, and like, oh my God, your blood pressure is low. But they tell you, no, that's my baseline. Like my blood pressure is always that way. Things that I'm going to just say, and I'll say this as an educational part, is I know that as African American, we have the highest rate of high blood pressure in the States. And it's so sad because I see people come in, even though they know they have blood pressure, but because having high blood pressure is not a thing that is like cancer or something that you're going to see right away that it's affecting you. It's a silent killer. So that urge of them using their medication, because you ask them, you say, hey, are you on blood pressure medication? They say yes. When last did you use it? Oh, I can't remember. Or they just don't feel like they want to use it.
Do you feel there should be a regimen on how to use your medication? So for example, I remember one of my doctor friends told me this and said, try to put a time on when you use your blood pressure medication. And I said, why do I need to use a time? Why do I need? She says, you use it every 10 a.m. in the morning. Your body recognizes that this thing comes in at 10 a.m. and it's effective. But if you use it 10 a.m. today, the next day you use it at 3 p.m., the next day you use it at 9 p.m., you're not regulating that in your body. So do you feel having a fixed time to use your medication and make it effective? So it's not like, have you used your meds? Or I used it.
Okay.
Does the timing have anything to do with this?
So as a clinician, I'll say yes. But as human, I'll say it's hard sometimes. Yeah. I'm on blood pressure medication. And I know that I don't have a time, but I have a period. And I would say morning, afternoon, or evening. Or before you go to bed. I try to use it within that window. Like I'm not going to use it in the morning today and at nighttime tomorrow.
Okay.
But I'm not setting my alarm for like, oh, at 9 o'clock, I got to pop my pills and use it. I know some pills, they do recommend that you use it on that time. For blood pressure, I don't really know if that is a case for it.
I would advise, and I'm saying this personally, I would advise that medication should be timed because, again, if you look at medication, there's what they call the cycle of the medication. I feel logically you should. Now, when we do remote patient monitoring for patients using digital technology, in the morning, you get a notification that it's time to use your medication. You should use your medication at the time. If you don't use your medication, we get an alert or a spike to say, patient has missed the medication at this time. So timing is good. Part of what I feel happens to a lot of people is they feel they're using blood pressure medication, but they're not using the blood pressure medication the way they should use the blood pressure medication. It's like using the inhaler. I can puff and puff, but if I'm not using it right, the body is not getting what it should get. So I would advise use it at the right time.
Well, I would say this, we're going to make more research and see if that's something that affects.
But it's not about affecting the blood pressure. I feel it's just logical that if I use my medication 10 a.m. today, the life cycle should go and last me till what time?
Correct.
If I don't use it 10 a.m. the next day,
there's a lapse.
And I use it 6 p.m. that day, what I've done to my body is that 10 a.m., it's gone beyond the life cycle. So I feel, again, logically, you should use your blood pressure medication at the time you set it to be.
Okay, well, we're going to throw this back to the
So what do you think it should be? How do you use, for those who use the blood pressure medication, how do you use your blood pressure medication? Do you use it anytime you want to use it, or do you have a fixed time when you use it?
Well, let us know, because I know life be lifing sometimes, okay? All right, thank you guys, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.